Cricket Keto. Not sure which way I want to go just yet. But this is going to be a new YouTube channel. I'm going to try really hard to post a video once a week. I do work 2 jobs, so my life is kind of busy. But the main reason I want to do this is just to help everybody out. I've gotten a lot of questions from friends, family, random strangers about how I'm losing the weight. So far I've lost 50 pounds. And I am really passionate about this way of eating and this way of life. I think it has a lot of great benefits, and we'll kind of talk about those as we go. So just to start off with, I thought I'd keep it really simple with probably the #1 questions that I get. And that #1 question really is, what do you eat? So I did a pretty basic day of this is what I eat today. I took a little video of each thing, so I'm going to show you that next. But this is my mushrooms that I'm going to saute. So I don't know if you can tell, but that's like 0.099. So basically an ounce of mushrooms. And then onions are pretty carby, but I really like them. But I add a 1/2 ounce of those. And then I do about 3/4 of an ounce of the Colby Jack cheese. So here we have my hamburger patty cooking up in my wonderful cast iron skillet. I kind of want to make my own seasoning salt, but right now I still have the Walmart brand left, and I'm too cheap to buy some. There is some sugar in this, so kind of be aware. As you can see, I don't really put on enough for it to really matter. And I put on a little bit of garlic as well. It's probably like a pinch. So that little pinch of seasoned salt and pinch of garlic isn't gonna affect my carbs for today. If I put on a lot, anything more than 1/4 teaspoon or more, I definitely would want to count that, because then that would impact my carb load. So at this point, this is when I throw my veggies in, and you'll see there's plenty of room in there. So we're going to throw those all in there. And I like to also add some salt. So I'm going to add some of this pink Himalayan salt to my veggies. Okay, so now that that's done, and yeah, I know I didn't show you, but you know, that's all right. So that was just basically 1 twist, maybe 2, depending on the day. If I'm feeling like I'm not getting my sodium in, then I will definitely add a little bit more. And then I kind of add my cheese like a puzzle, because I'm kind of funny that way. So I will just cover that all up, and we'll give the vegetables a stir. Some days I will add some butter to my veggies. It kind of depends on how much grease is in the pan that day, and kind of what I'm feeling. If I'm having a lot of heavy cream that day, because I have it in my coffee, I usually will try to avoid adding it to the butter to the vegetables, just because then I don't need that extra fat. I'll finish up, and I usually like to cover it just so it kind of finishes. The cool thing about cast iron is it holds its heat for a long time. So as you can see, I just actually turned the stove off after I get it kind of going, and then I'll leave that, and while that is finishing, I will go ahead and prep my artichoke that I cooked already. So artichokes take anywhere from 50 minutes, 45 if it's a really small artichoke. This one I cooked for 1 hour and 10 minutes. They've just been really big, and you want the leaf to just tear off super easy. I mean, that's basically how you know it's done. I do flip these, so you can see there's not a lot of water in here. I basically steam it more than I boil it. But, so we're going to pull that out.
I do just want to clarify that there was 1/2 pot of water when we started this process, so don't just try to put a little tiny amount of water in there. Definitely start with a good amount of water. It's just most of it evaporates out.
Okay, so my hamburger is just about done. So the last thing I'm going to do to go with my breakfast, which I know looks more like a lunch, but this is basically what I eat for breakfast. I don't really like breakfast food, so I'm actually really happy to eat lunch for breakfast. And this is a really filling meal, so it'll hold me all day. This is when I normally eat, anywhere from between now and a little after 10, depending on how many conference calls I have that day. But anyway, the other important part of my meal, and that I do get quite a bit of calories from, is my coffee. So this is just regular Folgers coffee here. And I'm going to put that in my cup. This is my second cup of a day. Now, here's a little pro tip, I guess, kind of sort of, is drink lots of water. Now, hopefully that's not a pro tip. Hopefully you know you need to drink lots of water. But one of the ways I force myself to drink a lot of water is I bought this really awesome mug from Amazon. It's 30 ounces. And I fill it up with water. And basically, I force myself to drink one of these before each cup of coffee. So when I first wake up in the morning, I drink a cup. Then I have my coffee, and then before I can allow myself to have my second cup of coffee, I drink another one. So that by the time I've gotten my second cup of coffee, I have already drank 60 ounces of water. So I use this sweetener right here. This is pure sucralose. Into like this line right here. If you notice, it says 500 grams of sucralose, which is what is in this bag, which, you know, my hands aren't that huge. It really is kind of a small looking bag. Equals 662 pounds of table sugar. So if you go to buy this and you're like, oh my gosh, that's kind of expensive, just know that it's going to last you for like ever. This bag I bought, it was 50 grams, and I bought it back in September. So you can see I did buy one of the smaller bags, make sure I liked it. I really like this stuff. I have a sweet tooth, so this is about how much coffee I use. I don't know if you can see that very well because it's white on white, but I'm going to try. So this little spoon actually was a spoon that came with my stevia, which I can't have stevia because I have a ragweed allergy. So if you can do stevia, I would definitely recommend that because it is a natural product, and you know, God-made products are always better than man-made products, but I can't do stevia, and the sugar alcohols affect my blood sugar, and I don't like wasting carbs on my drinks. So that is why I use sucralose. A lot of people use Splenda. That is a half of a 32nd teaspoon. So that's a 64th of a teaspoon. And that's actually going to make it really sweet. So this is the Splenda that a lot of people are like, oh no, it's evil. Splenda, I do use Splenda when I travel just because it's in little individual packets. But the sucralose is one of the ingredients in Splenda, but there are some other kind of not as good for you ingredients like dextrose and some other things. So the pure sucralose I find works for me really well. It doesn't have any of the drawbacks. I can use a very tiny amount, as you saw, and it lasts forever. So even though it may seem like it costs quite a bit for a small amount, it's really not if you figure out how much you're actually going to get out of it. The last thing I'm going to add to this is some heavy cream. I got this little measuring device, measuring cup. It's not really a cup, but for Christmas, and I really like it because it actually says coffee. I don't use it for coffee grounds. I use it for my heavy cream because I put 2 tablespoons of heavy cream in my coffee. So this works out perfectly. So there is my heavy cream that I filled up, and then I'm going to put that in there, and I like to kind of stick the spoon actually inside, and I'm making a mess because that's what I do. And I like to stick it in because I want to get all that heavy cream. Now, you'll notice I'm measuring a lot of stuff. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I think you kind of do have to be careful. Sometimes you think, oh, I've got this, I know exactly how much I usually use, and you eyeball it, but I know for me, I will kind of start slowly adding more or changing it a little bit. So I do kind of go back and forth between measuring and not measuring and eyeballing it. But with the heavy cream especially, I just have kind of come to the decision that I need to measure it because I don't like coffee. So I like the effect of coffee, and I like cream and sugar. So, you know, so for me, that just kind of helps me stay on track and make sure that I don't put too much cream in it, because it does have 1 carb per tablespoon. So that's 2 carbs. And remember, I said I don't really like to drink my carbs. Okay, so my hamburger patty is done with the cheese all melted and delicious. It looks kind of messy. I guess it doesn't really look super pretty, but this is a really filling meal, especially with my coffee. And like I said, this will pretty much keep me full until 2 or 3 o'clock. So at that time, I'll eat my quote-unquote dinner, and I'll be done for the day. So this is a pretty high caloric meal, but as I said, I like it because it keeps me full, and then when I'm working, I can focus on work. Alrighty, so I'm gonna have a snack today, which I don't have very often actually, but I'm having some leftovers today, and I'm having kind of some carbier leftovers, I guess. It's a stir fry that I've made. Anyway, so in order to get the food that I need and want, but not go over my carbs, a lot of times snacking is kind of a good option for me because a lot of my snacks are very little carbs. I do want to point out, though, it is important to get your vegetables and stuff for the day. And Winnie wants to say hello. This is my beautiful little dog. She's very keto as well, gluten-free. Anyway, so what we have here is just a string cheese. It's Great Value brand because I'm cheap. These are turkey sausages, and I buy them at Walmart. They are these Old Wisconsin turkey sausage. And you can see here on the label that they, it's kind of smudged a little bit, but they are under 1 gram is what it says. I don't really track that. You could, I guess, track, 0.75. Usually if the label says that it is under 1 gram, that usually means that it's between a half a gram and 1 whole carb. So that's just what the industry allows them to do. Anything that's under a half a gram of carbs, then the food industry allows them to put 0. So sometimes you'll see 0 on there when you know it actually does have a carb. It's kind of up to you how intense you want to get. And then this is a chocolate peanut butter fat bomb that I made. These are super easy to make. And I actually got the recipe offline. So anyway, so that's my snack, and then I'll have some leftover beef stir fry for dinner. Alrighty, here is my last meal of the day. This is leftovers actually of a stir fry I made a few days ago now. I need to eat it up before it goes bad. You see that I do have some carrots in here, so if you're like, oh no, we can't eat carrots, then don't. I do eat carrots. I don't eat them very often, and I eat them in very, very small amounts. So this one of the reasons I said my dinner was a little carby, you can make a stir fry without the carrots. You might want to do some like red bell pepper instead, just because you want some color. You don't want just bland food. So, but anyway, this is my beef stir fry. So this will be my final meal of the day, and then I'll be good to go. I'll probably drink some more water, and I work tonight at my second job, so I will also grab a Diet Dr. Pepper on my way to work tonight. And yes, I do drink diet soda, so another one of those things, if you're an extreme or a pure ketoist, then that's okay. You can do you, and don't judge me for me. It's been working, so there you go. I do want to talk about a little bit of what keto is. A ketogenic diet is a high-fat, low-carb, moderate or adequate protein, as a few people like to call it. And basically what that means is that I get most of the calories from the day from items of fat. So that could be fat in actual product that's just fat, like olives, butter, oil, that sort of thing. But typically it's in the food already. So I'm basically getting food that's kind of has a higher fat content. So for example, today you'll see I have a cheeseburger patty, but that's an 80%, 80-20 hamburger patty, which one of the nice thing about keto is that that's a cheaper piece of meat, so it's a little bit less expensive. Some of the other products are more expensive, but if you keep it simple, you don't have to get crazy. So there are different levels of a ketogenic diet or a ketogenic lifestyle. So you can really pick and choose what works best for you. I definitely recommend get out there, do some research. There are a ton of great groups on YouTube already that have done a lot of the research for you, but check out everybody. You're going to find that you agree with some people and not agree with others. So the great thing about keto, though, is that you can really kind of pull and pick and choose what you think is going to work best for your body. Every person's body is a little bit different, and so what is going to work for you, I hate to break it to you, but some of it's going to be trial and error. So this is my going into my 7th month, so I've done it for a full 6 months now, and every month I tweak it. Some of that is because I need to, because I start to stall out, and when I say I stall out, that means like I go a week without losing weight, which for me is a stall at this point, because I still have a lot to lose. I think, as I get closer to that goal weight, realistically, I'm probably going to start dramatically slowing down on my weight loss, and I'm aware of that. But basically, you have your ketogenic lifestyle that is what I call, the purist, right? So these would be the religion of absolutes, right? So absolutely no underground vegetables, so no root vegetables, rutabagas, carrots, that sort of thing. Absolutely no types of sugar or forms of sugar, including natural, processed sweeteners. So they don't do sucralose, they don't do Splenda, they don't do anything that's really man-made. And then you have your medical keto, which is actually quite a bit different because it is 90% fat, 8% protein, and 2% carbs for the day. So it's really completely based on the graph itself, not necessarily a number. Your standard ketogenic people, though, they're going to basically say you can kind of eat whatever you want as long as you stay under net 20 grams of carbs per day. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but you go you. So I think at some point you're going to have to start counting calories. I don't think when you first start you should start calories, and we'll kind of talk about that in a later video. But that's basically one of the other ones. Then you have the more relaxed ketogenic lifestyle that still says, okay, no grains, no potatoes, but carrots are okay once in a while. You can use Splenda, that sort of thing. And they do more, anywhere from 20 to 50 total carbs, or they might do still under, 39 or 35 net carbs for the day. And don't worry, again, we'll kind of talk about what the heck is a net carb in a later video. Or you can check it out and do some research yourself. And then you have the ultimate relaxed ketogenic people. And these are the people that literally just go by if it fits in your macros. They even have a whole group on Facebook, which I think is kind of fun. And these are the folks that literally think everything under the sun is okay as long as it fits in your macros for the day. So what that means is I am allowed to eat bread, potatoes, whatever, as long as I have that amount of carbs for the day. So if I do a 2,000 calorie diet and therefore I'm allotted 50 grams of carbs per the day, if I want to have a piece of bread with some butter on it in the morning and then just not eat any other carbs the rest of the day, then I can't. I personally do not do that, just so you know. I do total carbs, which I really recommend for folks that have insulin sensitivity, such people that are pre-diabetic or are diabetic. That's kind of what I did. I was pre-diabetic and then diabetic, and then I actually went on a lower carb, the American Diabetes Association carb count, which is 45 carbs per meal and up to 30 carbs per snack. So I was still eating 4 or 5 meals a day, still getting quite a bit of carbs for the day, but I did lose some weight just doing that. I did that for about a year, got back down to a pre-diabetic status. And then I started keto July 1st, 2017, which was very different as far as carbs go, because I just tracked, at first I tracked the first month or so, probably just the first 2 weeks, I just tracked net carbs, and then from there I went to a total carb, because I found for me personally, I could eat a lot of food doing the net carb thing. I'm really good at finding the loopholes in things. So, and a lot of your grainy stuff like tapioca starch and some things like that is mostly fiber. So I would subtract that out, or I would have some desserts or treats that have a lot of sugar, alcohol, and guess what? You subtract that out so you get to have more. And that didn't work for me. Number one, I have a food addiction, and so if I can find a way for myself to eat more food, then I'm probably going to eat more food, which is not good for me. And also, I just noticed that my body had a really hard time. So I track total carbs for the day. I range anywhere from 35 up to 50 on a cheat day. And I do have one of those quote-unquote cheat days once a week. I don't have like a all-out, go out and have pizza and ice cream type of cheat day. It's more of a I kind of raise it up, and that's the day I usually will have added fruit. That's probably the day I'll have a smoothie, which I'll show you guys how to make the most awesome smoothie in the world. It's to die for. But it is definitely a meal replacement or for a cheat day, because it is pretty high in calories and fat. So that's what I do. That's what I've been doing, and we'll kind of talk about as I go. I change, and you will too. You know, as you get smaller, your blood work is going to change, your body's going to change, your metabolism's going to change, and so you kind of have to change with that. You can't be stagnant. If you weigh 450 pounds and you're starting today's day one, my recommendation, just lower your carbs. And that's it. You know, just really focus on that. Try to take little baby steps at a time. Don't try to do everything at once. You know, when I started, as I said, I had some diabetes scares and been diagnosed with diabetes and pre-diabetes, etc. So I'd already kind of lowered my carbs, which is still a lot of carbs compared to the ketogenic diet, but at least I kind of knew where carbs came from. And I think if you haven't done that piece yet, that by itself is just mind-blowing. You start looking at Italian seasoning, you start looking at basically everything that's in the aisles of the grocery store, and it has carbs. Anything that's processed, canned, or boxed, frozen, they just like to sneak those little carbs in there. So they make for really cheap fillers. They like to add sugar, they like to add wheat. But before that, I actually went gluten-free, so no flour products, in 2015. So, actually no, it's 2014. I lied. So back since 2014, I have been gluten-free. So it really has been kind of a baby steps for me as well. My baby steps sometimes were really spaced out in between those different things, but to go from gluten-free and then a little bit lower carb, and then keto, it made it really easy for me to go to keto. Actually, when I first started ketogenic diet, I ate way more than probably what I had been eating as far as different types of food. I hadn't really had good pancakes or or a lot of other products or really good treats for a really long time. So with me starting ketogenic lifestyle, it was actually opened my life up to a whole world of food and different things that I could do. It really opened my eyes to a lot of different styles in cooking as well. I definitely do a lot more things at home than I used to that are really simple and do save money, which you need, because if you're eating a lot of fresh produce, it can get kind of expensive unless you have your own little garden or something like that, which I do not have, nor do I have the time to manage. So the other thing is I didn't really start exercising until about middle of month 4. And even then it hasn't been super consistent. I do notice that my weight loss slows down dramatically, and I even kind of might gain weight for a couple days after I work out. And we'll kind of talk about that also in another video. So I don't want to overwhelm you, and I don't want this video to be 80 million years long, because you need to get back to your life. And if this is something you want to give a try, go check out some other great YouTubers. Keto Connect, it has a ton of information as well, some great recipes. They even have a program that you can work off of. There's the High Falutin Low Carb, which he does everything from battles, and he kind of takes different recipes off the internet that are low carb and tells you what he really thinks of them, which I think is hilarious. He's so funny. But he also does some recipes as well. I also watched Thomas DeLauer, and he has a lot of great scientific information. He has been a fitness instructor for a while, so I kind of appreciate the people that have been fat at least one time in their life. So Mega and Matt off Keto Connect were never fat. I guess they've always been healthy, which is great for them, and I don't mean to be derogative, oh, you've never been fat. But, speaking from a person that has been fat and is fat, it's kind of nice to be oh, this is a person that's more like me. I think we like to find that person. So Allie McWowie, I listen to her a lot. I watch all of her videos. She's pretty down to earth. She's very reasonable. I like that she's budget friendly and just realistic as to, what we can do as a working human being that has more to do than just cook all day and do dishes all day. So anyway, check out those folks. I encourage you, and find somebody else too. There's tons, like I said, tons and tons and tons of folks out there that are doing keto. Find one that matches close to what you do and check them out. Have a great day.